Welcome everybody to another live streaming here on YouTube on the Alecaddd channel about coding, design, development, about all the crazy stuff that we find online, about all these crazy things that this crazy person is gonna do during this live streaming. This is like the worst introduction ever, but let me open this camera and show you how gorgeous I am today. This is, like I said, this is the worst introduction ever. Probably I'm gonna cut it when I release this video, but hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to another live streaming. What is Vala? I'm not a tech guy. Okay, we're starting to have already a lot of questions here. What I'm gonna do today, this is a little introduction. I'm currently running on Elementary OS. This is like a Linux based operating system. It's I've been tweeting about it, I've been working about it. It's like so for many many months. Vala is the programming language that the guys at Elementary OS, the developers at Elementary OS, they use to develop the operating system itself, like the Pantheon desktop environment and all the application. I started using Vala in November or October last year, and I released my first application called Sequeler, which is an SQL application, SQL compiler, SQL parser, whatever. It's just an SQL client for you to connect to a database, local or remote database, and write your own SQL commands. But yes, Nobir says that the t-shirt said the truth about all the developers. Yes, I made this t-shirt for myself because I always feel this way, like semicolon is always like that terrible. But yeah, so what I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna basically show you all my massive lack of knowledge about Vala, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm past that moment of time where like I'm totally lost, but I'm not in that moment where like, okay, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm coding, I know what I have to do. But right now I'm kind of like, I kind of know what I have to do, but I'm not 100% sure. So I just want to show you I'm refactoring Sequeler, and I'm gonna show you all the steps that I do in order to understand how to code something specific, like if I have to create a class, if I have to create a new file, if I have to do something that I don't know what I usually do. Because a lot of you guys actually said to me that the documentation, like Valadoc, is not clear. It's like kind of hard to understand. It's kind of hard to read and find good examples. So I'm gonna show you my approach when I don't understand something in the doc, what I do to try to figure out how the thing works. So we already have a bunch of questions here. Let me read. Oh, Brutto La Rocca. Ciao Ale, ciao Brutto La Rocca. We have Italian guys here. It's amazing. If you're trying to troll someone, put a Greek semicolon. Oh yes, the Greek semicolon. That would be the worst joke ever. That would be like the terrible. What is Vala? I already answered it. Vala is a programming language that compiles in C, and Elementary OS is based on Vala, like built in Vala. Majority of the applications of Elementary OS are built in Vala, and I'm gonna build Sequeler in Vala. So let me show you what I do here. So first, let me put myself super tiny to the corner. This is Elementary OS. Beautiful background. I found this online. It's just gorgeous. I love this thing. Okay, so let's start. First, I usually what I do, I open like a browser window and I go directly to Valadoc. Like Valadoc is my go-to thing, my go-to website when I'm coding something. So it's gonna be like I'm always there, lost in 1,000 different pages. Then I open the terminal. And let me zoom in a little bit. The terminal here. How do I zoom in? Okay, there you go. Okay, something like that. CD, projects, Sequeler, and then I open Visual Studio Code that I'm currently using on Linux. Visual Studio Code has a super cool things in the preferences, because right now you cannot pretty much read anything in my source code, but I don't want to just zoom the font size, because I set up the font size with the line height, everything is nice, everything is beautiful. What you can do in Visual Studio Code, can I shrink this? Yes. What you can do here, if you scroll down, you have a window zoom level that if I set to 3 and if I save, the entire window increases. So not only the copy, not only the text, but also the icons, also the folders, and everything is more readable. And you can increase it also with Control plus or Control minus. You can control this thing. So having something like that is way more readable. Now you guys can read my screen, right? I guess so. Okay, let's check the current situation of Sequolor, because I rebuilt it. I don't know if you ever use Sequolor, but this is like the current available version of Sequolor in the App Center of Elementary OS. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty slick, but there are a lot of quirky things because of the way I coded it the first time. It's not like the best source code ever. I'm gonna show you all the crappy things that I did. But here what you can do, you can connect to a local database. It opens this new screen, and here you already see the first problem, or at least I see the first problem. I half-has hacked this header bar just to inject another toolbar. So it's a GTK box that wraps the header bar and the toolbar appears and refreshes the UI. It's just super weird, especially if you guys don't have the original, like the built-in, the native Pantheon Elementary OS UI, and someone like tweaks the Elementary OS UI to use another GTK theme, this thing is gonna explode. It's just, you're gonna see like empty margins or black boxes. It's just horrible because it's my fault. But yeah, here what you can do, you can like check the tables in your database. You have the query builder where you can write, select this from this and have the results. Then you can log out, you can log into another local host, and automatically the system recognizes if you have multiple databases in your local host and can connect to WordPress. For example, here we can see the WP posts. We have the full list of things, and we can select everything from WP posts and Control Enter, and we got our SQL results. So it works, it's okay. The problem is that you see a lot of like quirky UI thing because everything is disconnected. You see like this is awful. And then there's also another thing is that I created these application always singletons, and I explain what a singleton is in another live streaming while I was building Akira. Singletons are like a class that you initialize one and then you call that instance every time you need again that instance. Like you don't generate a new instance. That's okay for some specific section, but for the majority of application, this shouldn't be based all on singletons, because first you cannot open another window. And I don't know you, but when I code in development, when I'm like deploying a new application, I always have the staging database open and the production database open. Sometimes I have the local database open and then the production to see, like, compare something or transfer data. If I want to pull from the production some data into the local, I don't want to like open, do something, close, reopen another connection, do something. I want to have multiple connections open. So the application doesn't accept that for now. And that's why I'm rebuilding, I'm recoding it. And also, there's a bug that I noticed when I was just like triggering warnings. Every time I connect and disconnect, the connection remains in the cache. I don't know like if it's the proper way of saying it, but it remains in the cache. So you connect the first time and you have one connection. You connect the second time, you have two connections. You connect the third time, you have three connections. Even if the first two are empty, you keep stacking all connections one on top of the other, even if the previous connections are null. So you reach a point, if you log in, log out from different connections, where like you reach a point where you have like 35 connections, all stacked and they're all null or just empty objects, and the application crashes because it's trying to connect at the same time to 35 different connections, which 34 of them are completely empty, so the application is just freaking out. And that's because of the way I built this thing. So I'm so sorry. But let's see the new version of Sequeler. So let's go inside the build subfolder and let's compile make. I think I don't, yeah, I haven't done anything. Let me launch. This is the new version of Sequeler that I'm building, and it looks exactly the same, it looks identical, but I did a lot of good things. So first here, of course, we missed the main welcome widget, which I'm gonna build today. But here first, you can resize this. I created a GTK paint and you can resize, and if you shrink it down and if you grow it, like the sidebar remains the size that you decided. It doesn't shrink, except like if you shrink it, of course, but it doesn't shrink when you resize the window. It remains fixed in the position that you decided. And I need to save this configuration. I want to save this sizing. I'm going to do in the G settings later. Another thing that you can do, that's French. Oh, a guy just wrote in French. Super video, Alessandro, très instructive. I don't know French. Sorry, that's terrible. I guess like you're thanking me, so thank you, Richie. Another thing that I did here is removing all the singletons. So now there's this new button here, super cute, that if you click, it opens another instance that it's a completely separated instance of Sequeler, and you can have like multiple instances here. You can select them both, and if you connect to a specific connection, the title changes based on the connection. So you can have like 3 or 4 different connections open with different names on tops, and you can select them dynamically from the application icon, which is fantastic. And another thing that I did also, I used accelerator. So if I want to create another instance, I can just hit on my keyboard Control and N, and it opens another instance, and I can close it with Control Q. And also everything is here. I created some accelerators with some shortcuts, so you can see the shortcuts in the drop-down window. You don't have to see the documentation, learn something, and it's pretty fantastic. Okay, so this is the preference panel that didn't change, but you can switch to a dark layout, dark mode. It's like really standard thing. But the thing that we're gonna do today, preferences, boom, boom, we're gonna build, and we're gonna see how to build the welcome widget here. So I have a bunch of questions, but in different languages that I don't understand. So, or you write in English, or maybe in Italian. If you want the Italian, I can understand it, but no other languages, please. A guy like Srini Vasan says, say super simple. Super simple. Actually, you should say super simple instead of simple. Simple, like I used to say in my first series of tutorial when my English was garbage. Still garbage, but yeah, let's build a welcome widget. And a welcome widget is something that you see in a lot of Vala application or in a lot of elementary OS applications. So if we trigger, for example, Scratch, the built-in code editor, text editor of elementary OS, you see this is the welcome widget. You have a title, subtitle, and then some quick action buttons that they can trigger whatever you want. I want to create this for Sequeler, and the original one, the current one, already has it, but I built it in a super crappy way. Like it's not properly done. It's wrapped around a GTK box inside another GTK box inside an overlay, and it's just terrible. And the entire thing's it's just gross. So let's build it. Okay, so we are inside our main folder. Here I have my classes GTK paint, and I have 2 panels. The first panel here, the build sidebar, I'm packing in the first panel to the left the sidebar, which is another class, another instance. And then in pack 2, I have these just GTK label right. In fact, if you notice in the application, it was just saying right. Here I have to replace it with my window. And I already have the comment here because I want to create a new layout, public secular layouts window, but I don't have this file. So let's generate it in the layouts folder. Let's create a new file called welcome.vala. And first, what you have to do when you create a new file, you just copy the comment here for your license, because your license should be applied to every single file. You shouldn't leave a file without a license. But yeah, so let's create a new Vala class, which is, you can simply say, and I already forgot, okay, you can write like public class and then the name of the class. In my case, it's welcome. When you write a class in Vala, you have the okay, boom. Okay. Sorry guys. Okay, when you create a new class in Vala, you have the ability to generate a namespace, because you want to tap that class from whenever your instance or wherever your application, you want to be able to access that class in every location of your application. And like you see here in my main file, I have this public library that is tapping the secular layouts library, and this namespacing convention reflects exactly the location of this library. So I know, oh, the library file is inside secular, that is my main source folder, and layouts is the layouts folder, of course, and library is the library.vala. And when you want to do this in a new class, you just simply, you can do it in two ways, and they're both right, but it depends what you want to do. You could wrap the entire class. So let's say this is the empty class for now, and this is wrong, you shouldn't write it that way, but this is the empty class. You could wrap the entire class around namespace, and then you define the namespace. Then in our case, is secular.layouts, and then you put your class, the entire class, inside that namespace. You can put it there. So that class now, it's accessible through that namespace. Or if you want to have a double brackets, double indentation, you want to write everything in line, you can directly write your name, the name of your class, directly with the namespaces. So you can write secular.layouts.welcome. Perfect. Now for the class, every single class, every single class has to be an instance. I don't know if like I'm saying it right. Has to be an instance of a specific, another like native class of Vala, or like a native class of GTK, or it has to be a wrapper around a class that already exists. You cannot write an empty class that is not attached to anything. So if you notice, like in the main file, I have my main class, that column with a column and then a GTK pane. So my main class is actually a wrapper around the built-in GTK pane type of container. The header bar Vala is the same. My class header bar is a wrapper around GTK header bar. And this is a way to tap the interface of GTK header bar, GTK pane, or like all built-in native GTK sections, GTK UI elements, whatever you want to call them, and then extend them with your own custom thing. So I said I want to create a welcome screen. Let's assume that I don't know what a welcome screen is. The first thing that I do, I go inside Valadoc and I write simply welcome. And I see the results here in the results panel, and I see Granite Widgets welcome. Oh, wonderful. That's actually what I want. So I check Valadoc and I see the documentation, and the documentation is, okay, that doesn't make sense for me. Like, this is really hard to understand because, okay, we have some properties, subtitle, title, then I have the public creation method, welcome, where I can put the string title and subtitle. But I don't really understand, like, how do I write this code? How do I write a class, my own custom class around this welcome Granite widget? And I found myself in this situation many, many times. To solve this situation, I usually do two things. First, I check in my installed application Elementary OS which application is using the welcome screen or whatever widget I want to use. So in this case, I have Scratch that is using the welcome widget. I want to recreate this thing. So the first thing that I do, I go on GitHub and I steal the code. Absolutely stealing the code. So I go to elementary, and I write elementary code. Because they rename Scratch to code, I go inside elementary code. Okay, this is the code editor designed for Elementary OS, and this is the image. That's perfect. Awesome. So let's go inside the, let me zoom it. Probably you can see it better. Yes, let's go inside the search src folder, and we have our main window. I don't want to really browse around and say, oh, where is the welcome? Probably is the welcome view. But if I don't really know, like, where am I looking at this thing, I know already one thing. I know that this widget is called Granite Widgets Welcome. So I can do this from this repository. Just search granite.widgets.welcome. Write that down and say, oh, okay, so we have a couple of Vala files that they use this convention, Granite Widgets welcome. There you go. And we have the search src widgets welcome view.vala, which is what we wanted. So let's click on this and let's say, okay, let's scroll down. We have public class with the little thing, we have the namespace, and then column. Okay, so now I know. I get it now. If I want to create a class that extends built-in widgets of GTK, you have to write a column and then the full path of the widget. And if you remember, if you noticed, Granite Widgets Welcome is exactly the same path that is represented in Valadoc with welcome widgets Granite. Here, the package is Granite Widgets Welcome. That's how you tap a native widget from Valadoc. So let's go here and say, okay, column, I want to create granite.widgets.welcome. And then let's keep stealing the code. So here, what is happening inside the Scratch or the code ID, code editor, whatever you want to call it. We have a public unowned Scratch main window where the window is passed to this instance. We don't need to do that for now, but here you see that the welcome view class is repeated here as a public class, and then we have a construct. This is a quirk. This is a quirk thing that it's really strange about Vala, which I really don't understand. But in PHP, personally, in PHP, when you create a new class, then you just have the construct method. You have the construct, and inside the construct, when the class is initialized, the construct automatically triggers itself. You can write whatever you want, and then from the construct, you can trigger other method that you can write there. In Vala, you have the object itself and the construct, and both of these are getting triggered when you create a new instance. Because if we go back in the documentation of Valadoc and we check here and we say, okay, the public method welcome that we're using accepts two parameters, the title text and the subtitle text. But how do I write these two parameters? Do I create the parentheses here and I write the title here in the description? No, that won't work. That's a mistake. Do I write it in the construct? No, that won't work. That's a mistake. We need to redefine this welcome class as an object that gets triggered, and inside the object, we need to pass those parameters. So we can say that public void, that's a void method, and we can double check it without void. It's just the name. So public welcome, we repeat the same class that we define ourselves. We don't repeat the Granite welcome. This could be also welcome main, and this class should be welcome main. So it's our own custom name. It's not the name of the GTK widget. We create the welcome, and in the welcome, we pass nothing. We open and close the curly brackets. And here we can define like exactly it's happening inside this little thing here in this initializing class of code, we create an object that automatically reflects the type of object that these Granite widgets is expecting. So the object needs 2 parameters, and we can check it from the documentation again. It checks the title text and the subtitle text. So we need to pass the title underscore text and then the subtitle underscore text. And these 2 parameters should be text and strings and should be translatable. And if we check again and we steal the code from the one of the apps of Elementary OS, you just see that, oh, this translation is already there and the string is passed with double quotes. Okay, so let's copy this thing. That's fantastic. That's underscore, parenthesis, and then a comma because we have another parameter, and then double quotes here. And I don't remember what I wrote on Sequeler here. What is it? Welcome to Sequeler. Connect to any local or remote database. Let's do it. So welcome to Sequeler, and here again underscore, open and close parentheses, and connect to any local or remote database. Period. Database, it's like uppercase or like camel case. How did I write this? Database all lowercase. It's okay. This has a period, so let's have a period. That's fine. Okay, so now we have this object. In the construct, we don't really have to write anything because this is already, this is like a great thing about Vala, that if you extend a widget, a built-in widget, in our case, a built-in widget of GTK, automatically the widget will be generated with the native things that are inside the widget. So if we pass the object with the 2 parameters that are necessary to trigger that method, then automatically everything else will be generated by itself. So let's give it a shot. Now we have this new welcome.vala file that it's a self-contained widget, that is the Granite widgets, welcome widgets. How do we connect this to our main layout? Where simply well, here, let me comment this out. So I created this file. If I open the terminal and I say, well, make, okay, generate whatever thing I just wrote, and it's gonna compile everything, and I trigger Sequeler, it's still empty. We don't have that widget file because we just wrote it, but we didn't hook it anywhere. So the first thing that we have to do, we have to first declare it inside as a publicly accessible method or publicly accessible class connected to the main layout. So here we are inside the Sequeler layouts main at a GTK pane, and you see already I have the public Sequeler layouts library that is like saying, okay, this library variable is actually the container of the instance of this new class. I have to do the same for the welcome. I already wrote it here because I knew I wanted to do that. So I wrote Sequeler, declare a publicly accessible variable connected to this main layout, that it's a wrapper of Sequeler layouts and welcome. Okay, by doing this, nothing happens because that variable welcome is not being initialized. It's completely empty, so nothing will happen. What we can do in the construct here, we can declare it, hey, right after the library or right after sidebar stack is a GTK stack. Let's say right after the main stack, or like right after before the main stack. Let's do something like the GTK stack. Right after the main stack, we want to do the welcome variable that we declared here in the declaration of the class, so we don't have to write we don't have to write var welcome. The welcome variable is already declared in the properties of the class. The welcome is equal to a new instance of our newly generated class, that it's inside Sequeler layouts and then welcome. And here we are not passing anything because this welcome widget doesn't accept anything here. So if we wanted to pass, for example, we want this title text to dynamically be injected here and we want to pass it here. So like this is the text. Then, because we're passing a parameter inside the class, we should have wrote this parameter here and we need to type int it. So we need to specify this is a string and this is the title text. And the title text should be this one. But of course, this is a problem, like title text is better, like writing title, don't use the same name of built-in methods, of built-in parameters, of properties of a class that you're using. So that's how you pass parameters or properties when you initialize a class in Vala. And that took me a bit because I was expecting, as in PHP, I was expecting like in here maybe, or like in here, very close brackets. No, you have to redeclare the same class name as publicly accessible, and then you pass those parameters there. But we don't want to do that because we don't need to do that. So let's copy this, let's remove this. Okay, now we have this new welcome page that it's injected inside the welcome. What we have to do, we have to add it, we have to put it inside our layout. And we're doing it here in the class that I generated, public void build main. And in the pack2, that is the second panel of GTK pane, I'm just generating a new label called write, but here I can inject the welcome. Let's go back here, let's say make. Oh, we have an error here. The type name, okay, perfect. So I wrote everything. So I'm tapping this public class here, I'm referencing the proper namespace, everything is written correctly, I'm initializing a new instance, everything is good, but it's not working. My terminal is throwing an error. It says that on main Vala line 27, and line 27 is this one, when I'm trying to actually associate that widget to as a property of my own class, says, hey, the secular layout welcome could not be found. This thing doesn't exist. Why? Because I forgot to specify it in the CMake file. So if you follow the starter tutorial about CMake and you open cmakelist.txt, you know that here you have to, in the Vala precompile, you have to specify all the files that they need to be included in the precompile of CMake. And here you can see there's no welcome. I mean, there's a welcome here, but it's the old one that I had before, source widget welcome, which is like not good, not good. So let's specify a new one, src/layouts/welcome.vala, and save it. Now we go back here and say make. Oh, there's an error. Checking. No rules to make target source. Oh, typo. Layoutus. I wrote layout. I'm the worst. Layouts. Welcome Vala. Make. Okay. Compiling. Title text. Not found in SQL or welcome Vala. Okay, welcome title text. What did I write wrong? It's title and subtitle is not title text and subtitle. Subtitle text. Sorry. Title and subtitle. There you go. It's not text. And it's compiling without issues, which is fantastic. Let's trigger SQLer. And boom, we have our welcome widget with welcome to SQLer, connect to any local or remote database. Fantastic. Now what we're missing that we have to build, of course, is the button to create a new connection that I'm currently having also in the header bar here, but I don't have it in our main widget screen. And I'm using this widget screen because it's built in. And if we open Scratch, of course, or code, the new version is going to be called code, you see that it's listing a bunch of different things. It's listing a bunch of different options and future clickable. So let's say that the source code of code, or for example, you're checking the source code of a specific application, and yes, it has the same exact widget that you're using, but it doesn't use the exact solution that you want. And it's like, this doesn't make sense. I want this to be better. I want this to actually be exactly like I want it. The documentation is not clear. You cannot find an app that is not there. The good thing is that, and that's something that I do, and I'm not sure if it's a good approach, but the good thing that we can do, because this is a built-in Granite widget, Elementary OS, the guys at Elementary OS, they have the Granite demo, which you can pull from the GitHub repository in Trigger and see the source code of that demo, which is amazing. So I'm going to show you what to do. First, of course, let's open a terminal. And let me zoom in a little bit because otherwise you guys cannot see what I'm typing. And I already pulled Granite, but you can simply go inside the main repository of Elementary OS and type Granite. And you have here. You have the full library that extends the GTK main library, and you can build a documentation, you can build a demo, you can trigger a Granite demo, and the source code, the entire source code that works in every single situation, and it's there, it's built, it's inside this repository. So if you don't know what to do something specific with Granite because it's not clear, let's just compile it together. So let's go inside CD projects. I already pulled it, so I know where to go, but just create a folder called Granite, for example, and just pull that repository. I pulled it recently, so it's already updated, but you can just like clone or download, you can pull it from GitHub. It's gonna be like super easy, super simple. Okay, we have it here, so we can open it in code. And we're going to open another instance of Visual Studio Code. And you can see here the structure, it's really big. It's really big. It's a massive structure, massive library. But you can go inside the library, and inside the library you have all the sections that actually are generating those sections, like those components. You don't need to tap this because this is the generation of the class that you can use. You don't need to care about the library section. You need to care only about the demo section, because in the demo section, all those classes, those wrappers, are getting actually used in a proper way where you should actually emulate or copy that code. So in my case, I want to use the welcome view. But first, before accessing that, let's actually trigger what we want to do. So let's go inside the build folder. Let's tap make. Build target Granite. Okay, let's go inside the demo folder and let's tap the Granite demo. Okay, this is the Granite demo, and this helped me a lot when I was trying to learn Vala, because this Granite demo basically has the sort of like the overall consistency of layouts of pretty much every Vala application that I use. And it helps me a lot because I can see, oh, this is how it works. This is an example, a really simple one. There's the source code. So I can literally copy paste the source code. In my case, I want to use the welcome widget that it's already here. And we have title, subtitle, and a bunch of buttons that already work and they're connected to something. But you have also everything else. You have the alert view, alert this button. You have the example of the avatar. You can have the classes, the back button. If you don't know how to create a color picker selector, you can use this thing. You have a bunch of different examples, which is fantastic. So we said that our necessity is to create a welcome widget, which is the first screen. Perfect. So it's called welcome. Let's go in the demo here, source, views, welcome view. Welcome view, there you go. So the welcome view has a GTK grid that is wrapping everything around, but we don't need this welcome view, but we have the welcome. The Granite widgets welcome is this one. The same class that we're tapping, Granite widgets welcome. Okay, so Granite widgets welcome creates a new instance with Granite demo, that is the title, and this is a demo of the Granite library, which is subtitle. And then uses append. The append as a bunch of options. So I know that it's using visit Vala doc, and which is what we need, because here, if you notice in the first screen, you have the icon, visit Vala doc, and a little description. I want to recreate exactly the same thing. So I check in the source code and say visit Vala doc. Oh, it's this one, append. So I need to append something. What is this? This is the title, this is a title. I don't know what it is. Okay, let's go back inside Vala doc. We are inside Granite widgets. Let's click append. Okay, so the method append has 3 parameters. The first one is the icon name, the second one is the option text, and the third one is the description text. Wonderful, I can do that. Let's go back in our code, and we can literally write append here. We don't need to specify this, because we're still inside the Granite widgets, and this is the constructor of the Granite widget, so the scope didn't change. We can append whatever we want here. And as we saw, we need 3 parameters. The first one is the icon. The second one is the title, and let's say the third one is the description. Okay, we wanna tap something like this. And if we write this and we compile it, let's see what happens. The compiler doesn't trigger an error, but if we open, if we open Sequeler, we just compile, you see we have the icon that doesn't exist, but we have title and description, which is what we wanted to. Okay, so let me check what I wrote in my old version of Sequeler, the current version available in the App Center. Add new database, connect to a database, and save it in your library. That's pretty straightforward. So let's write it also wrapped around the translatable screen. So if you wrap around this underscore and then parentheses, this is a translatable screen that can be translated. So add a new database and copy, I don't remember anymore the copy, Sequeler. Connect to a database and save it in your library. That's pretty straightforward. Connect to a database and save it in your library. Connect to a database and save it in your library. And let me give it a sort of like camel case type of writing, even if it's not camel case. Okay, now we have the text, the title, and the description. We don't have the icon. And you can see here in the Vala example in the Granite demo, we have a text x Vala, text x source. Like these are the unique names, the unique identifiers of the icons. But how the hell do I know how my icon that I want to use is called? Do I browse it online? What's the name of the icons? Blah, blah. No, we have another options built in inside your elementary OS installation. So if we open another instance or another tab of our terminal, and we simply write without triggering anything, without compiling, we simply write GTK3 -icon -browser. This is built in inside your elementary OS installation. We enter, we're gonna have this nice cute little window that is running, and it doesn't have an icon, and it's running in the terminal. So if we close the terminal, it's gonna close it. But here we can literally search the icon that we want. So you can say, hey, I want something that new, bookmark new. Oh, I like this icon. Okay, so this icon is called bookmark new, and I can also see the symbolic version of those icons, which is tremendous. This is really, really useful. So I want to use the bookmark new. Perfect. Let's type it. Instead of icon, I want to use bookmark -new. Perfect. Let me compile my source code. Let me trigger Sequeler again. There you go. I have the welcome widget with the title, subtitle, and this button that doesn't do anything for now because it's not connected. But that was pretty clear, right? So that's what I do when I code in Vala and I have no idea what I'm doing. The first thing, I check the source code of an existing project, something that is already there. The elementary OS GitHub repository has all the apps, like you have video, you have music, you have the App Center, you have code, you have everything. Wing panel, that is the thing on top, you have Plank, that is the bar. So whenever you see a behavior in an app that you want to emulate, oh, I want to actually do exactly the same as this, just go on GitHub and check the source code. That's the beauty of open source. You're not stealing because it's open source. It's free. You can use it. You're doing something to build your own application, which is amazing. And when you look at the source code, always try to understand, okay, this is written in this way. How do I actually understand it with the documentation? Because the documentation alone, yes, it's great, it lists everything, but it lacks of real life examples, and which personally it's hard for me. It's like my way of doing things. When I need to learn something, I need a real life example. I need an application that uses that code and say, okay, that's the results that I get if I use this documentation or this code in this way. And that's what I do. I check an application that already exists. I check the documentation. I see, oh, it's using this type of property, this type of method. Okay, let me see if I change it, what happens and stuff like that. And the other thing, always pull the Vala doc, or pull the Granite demo from the GitHub repository. And the Granite demo, you have all these demo files that are ready for you, ready to just extract, use it. And the way this is written, it's really clear and it's really easy to understand. So definitely look at the source code. And this is elementary OS. Again, I'm reiterating this a lot, many times. This is elementary OS. And that's it, I guess. It's pretty much for this lesson. I don't know. My throat is getting, 45 minutes to do a welcome widget just because I explained it. But as you can see, I'm getting kind of acquainted with Vala, but it's not there yet. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. I should be able to release the completely new version of Sequeler, completely refactor and completely new in few days. No, actually in few weeks. I shouldn't say few days. But yeah, we're almost at the end of this live streaming. If you guys have any questions, just this is the time to ask the questions. If you're watching this during it's not a live streaming, you have questions about Vala, you don't understand GTK, you don't know, I want to publish an application on elementary OS, but I have no idea what to do, leave a comment below or join the elementary Slack channel, the elementary community Slack channel. It's full of amazing people that will help you a lot, and you can learn a lot of amazing things. So yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to build a new version of Sequeler, make it snappier, not crashy like it is right now. I don't know if you noticed that it's crashing a lot, but yeah, this is the thing. Okay, so do you guys have any question? I'm gonna drink my water, and if you don't have any question, I'm gonna stop this live streaming, which it was challenges for my throat. So good. Okay, so it's pretty much it for this live streaming. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. As usual, in the description below the video, there are a bunch of links and a bunch of links that you can click to support me, support my channel. In the next couple of days, I'm gonna release a new tutorials about WordPress and new tutorials about Gulp, and I will probably start doing some live streaming about PHP, regular standard PHP. So those are gonna be really interesting. But let me guys know what you think about this live streaming, this tutorial. If it was useful, if it cleared your ideas, if it makes it easier to understand Vala or how to code something specific in Vala. So yeah, let me know what you think. And as usual, until the next live streaming or until the next lesson, happy coding!